begin to ask yourself, if there was to be, in fact, the events that happened yesterday closed the eyes of the NIA, which is the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, on a norm. They would have said, oh, we had intelligence that A and B was going to take place. But in these circumstances, there was no intelligence. Now, we know there are IEDs that the terrorists use from time to time. But how was it easy for them to just go plant this thing and, the explosive went on and every other event overshadowed itself and the rest of that? It definitely means that there's an internal play in this whole affair. Because the government cannot claim not to be aware. The government cannot claim not to be aware. If anything of such was going on, remember that from this issue gave us report that, in fact, live videos that the event was running for about 1 hour.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that in that 1 hour, it's not possible for the federal government of Nigeria to call the right shot, or the authorities, say like the Minister of Defense and the rest of that, to call the right authorities to say, deploy the right people to that area?
Okay. 1 hour is too long a time. 1 hour is 60 minutes. 30 seconds, 60 seconds makes 1 minute. It is too much a time in the Federal Capital Territory, a prison that should be well fortified and supposedly fortified, that these criminal elements could gain access to it, break into, shut down the walls, kill whoever was in sight. And 551 people. Excuse me? In the city of Abuja. Why this is knocking my head sideways and from all sides, 360. Vincent, good morning and welcome to ATN Blowouts.
Yeah, good morning. How are you guys doing over there in Port Harcourt?
Honestly, I don't know if anyone is doing well in Nigeria this morning, Vincent. How are you doing in Abuja over there?
Well, we are managing and we are being very careful not to, get into the hands of these guys that have actually escaped from prison, because you never can tell.
Yeah.
The bad guys are everywhere now. You have to be very vigilant with the way you do things this time.
Vincent, you just raised a very critical issue. These guys are like us. They are like you and I. You don't know who they are. So that we don't have a database. Vincent, you guys, let me just take you through this line of thought. These guys are like you and I. We don't know what they look like. We don't have pictures of these guys as prisoners, okay? They can walk into Atlantic Television Network and say, okay, they have this skill and we employ them, or we don't know that's a criminal, or that's a Boko Haram member, or ISWAP member, as the case may be. So there's no database, there's no information, there are no names on these guys. So 551 criminals have been thrown into the Nigerian space right now. We don't know who these guys are. There are no database, like I said. How scary is this situation, Vincent?
This is why I said we need to be very vigilant. And on the part of the government, I think as soon as possible, we need to have the pictures, the profile of these guys, everywhere, so that they can assist. Of course, you never can tell. I might have passed a couple of them while getting to other office. But of course, if we had the pictures of those who are yet to be recovered everywhere on the internet, on every media platforms, and their names, perhaps, citizens will be able to complement the effort of government. Else, we are really in a mess, because, of course, as it is right now, we don't know who they are, we don't know how they look like, and of course, they might just as you rightly put it, come to ATM, not even to look for a job. They may just get into your studio now and, do something very, very terrible, because some of these guys are hardened criminals who have very, very, very high knowledge of crime and criminality, and they can use the available resources to, exploit their target. And of course, I know a couple of them might be fleeing the city to other locations, but of course, just as I rightly mentioned earlier, government need to release the profile. This attack has happened for over how many hours now? We don't know the names of those who are yet to be recovered. We don't know, we've not seen their faces. So government need to act promptly. If they expect support from citizens, then they need to also play their own part, because of course intelligence cannot just come. This is not an issue that the government will fold its arms and say we will tackle it. No, you need the cooperation of every citizen from the length and breadth of Nigeria. Citizens in Sokoto, citizens in Port Harcourt, citizens in Lagos and Maiduguri, everywhere. Let's have the pictures of these guys everywhere. Let's have their names. Let's have their profile. And of course, they said they are going to be using the fingerprint and what have you, the technology to track them. But of course, in the meantime, I think they should do this so that citizens will be able to complement the effort of government.
All right, Vincent, we'll come back to you. Let's get to our Lagos studio where we have Godwin. Good morning, Godwin.
Good morning, Vivian. And how are you doing this morning?
We will be fine. We will survive, and it shall be well.
I like it when you say the word "we will survive."
We will
It's
survive.
a Nigeria and it's our country. It's a dear country to us.
Yeah.
So when I listened to Vincent's conversation this morning about the issue of the Kuje prison break, and it breaks my heart. Though it's a prison break, but I think my heart is not in prison yet. But
Okay.
it's been broken right now. A lot of things are happening, not just in Abuja. Here in Lagos, also we are having issues here in Lagos, and people are even saying that the next prison break is going to likely happen here in Lagos. So I think all the Southwest right now, the governors are beefing up security and trying to ensure that within our space here, we get it right once and for all. But then, like you rightly said, we'll get it right, and I hope that we'll get it right this time.
I mean, I'll come back to you quickly. But, you know, Vincent raised some pertinent issue, and that's on who are these guys? Do we have any way of knowing who these guys are? About a year or so ago, we also had a prison break in Owerri, in Imo State, the correctional center. And I think that was, yeah. Okay, in Delta State. And then I think the Owerri was on Easter Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, 4th of April. Now, the interesting thing about that particular case is just like this one, till date, it's been about a year and we don't have any form of identity, who these guys are, where they are, till date. Now, this, you talked about, Vincent talked about the government saying that they have the fingerprint of these guys, that can get them back and all that. Well, some are even claiming that 443 of them have been brought back into the... These are just figures, as usual, being thrown about by the Nigerian government. Now, I'm asking you again, Godwin, do you somehow think that the government can actually give us release data on who these guys are and how to identify them? Do you think that will ever happen in this country as it is?
Well, Vivian, for my take on that, I think it's not the constitutional provision since the enactment of the Prison Act has been amended to correctional facilities. I don't think that will be possible. The present government might not be able to give us a full detail and breakdown of criminals on the loose because it's against their fundamental human rights as it stands right now. So they might not be able to give us that data. But then thinking of even data in Nigeria, is Nigeria a data-oriented country? Look at it, for example, we have to go through your PVC, you have to get through your national identification number, and you have to still go back to go and do a BVN in the bank, and there is no way these institutions can collate this data and make it one. So it's laughable when we now hear that the government are going to use fingerprints. Which of the fingerprints? Is it the fingerprints for the BVN, the fingerprint for the PVC, the fingerprint for national identification number? Which of the fingerprints? We're not a data-oriented country. Let's put the word the way it ought to be. We're not data-oriented. So definitely we're looking at it from all critical angle right now. I think that if one party is either not telling us the truth in this whole matter, or one person is trying to shy away from their responsibility. Yesterday, yesterday, on Tuesday morning, early hours, we got to realize that the government came out to say nobody died in the course of the prison break. Yesterday, early hours of yesterday, we got a confirmation again that 5 people have died. 450, 400 and plus have been captured, and also 500 and something. So we want to know, even in the prison, if you look at Kuje prison itself, there is no database to even know how many prisoners come in and how many prisoners go out. So it is based on speculation. So when it comes back to the issue of we working with data, I think that's laughable. Because a country that cannot maintain a database for our citizens, we don't know how many children are being born daily in Nigeria. We don't know how many people pass on in Nigeria. We have spurious borders as we speak. The prison break that happened somewhere in Obajana in Kogi State, in the presence of security operatives, who are yet to come out with a clue on what really happened. Right now, we don't even know if the total figures that are being said right now, Vivian, this brings us to another perspective of what I saw in Kirikiri maximum prison, what we call a prisoners exchange. So the government might not be able to want to teach this line, because sometimes when politicians get arrested, there's what they call prisoners exchange. Yeah, I'm speaking on factual ground right now. They exchange some of those people. You fly you abroad, somebody replace you and stand in for you. So it is on the public space right now. So there's no database for us to even want to use to bring this analysis to forbear right now, that there's going to be a database. So that's my submission on this. It's not going to happen soon. It's not going to happen now. I don't know if it has happened in the history, but I don't have that fact yet.
All right, now, there is a very critical issue that Godwin just raised due to the recent, even prior to that time anyway. We don't ever know who the prisoners, when they escape and what happens. But if indeed, I've not seen the Prisoners Act to know what exactly it was said and all that. I understand about protecting someone until they are proven guilty. But if these guys are prisoners, they are Boko Haram members, whether they've gone through the proper trial process or not, as it is right now, they have become a danger to the society. So if there is a law that says protect their identity, or what about the rights of those who may be at the mercy of these guys right now? What about those they've killed over this? I don't know what your take is on the issue of protection of a prisoner's right and identity. And maybe I'll have to go and read up more to understand what law that is and why we have to have that in place as it is.
If I should put myself to ride the waves of a legal luminary, I think the primary reason for setting up a government is the protection of its citizens' lives and property. So if there's any extant law protecting the identity of an inmate, whether condemned or awaiting trial, if that person happens to break out, definitely the law to conceal the person's identity has to be override, because he is now a risk or a danger to other people. Now, let's look at this critically. I would do this as a way of advice to the Nigerian government.
Okay.
We are in a period where Salah is about to be celebrated. Before certain terrorist group would go breaking in for their members who had been arrested and just like that, it means they are lacking supplies. So the government at this time, in fact, Nigerian government should be careful to tell Nigerian citizens that this coming Salah celebration should be celebrated on a low key, because there's every tendency that these guys might have sprouted to different areas of the country and are intending on carrying out havoc. That's on the one hand. Secondly, if we talk about getting a detailed database for these people, let us look at the prison facility, for example. It is like an everyday society, in as much as the persons who are there are either awaiting trial or are either being sentenced for one thing or the other. The various warders have a certain relationship with each person in each cell, to the extent that they know them by names. So if we can get these persons to say, who are the people that you've been relating with over time? When you go to take roll call, how do you relate with them? Who is this person? How is this person gone? We can be able to trace something. That's one. Secondly, when you are being, when you get to the prison or the cell, there's a template that they use where you have your name written and some of your identity. What are the photos of these things? Naturally, it should have been published out there, just like Vincent mentioned earlier, for the people to see and know that, okay,
these are the individuals we're looking for.
There's every possibility that you might have had wine or dine with this person earlier. So the Nigerian government is not doing enough. But except there's other reasons to this.
Well, maybe there are other reasons to this, but how do we know that? We'll take a short break and we'll be right back on ATN Blowout.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election year? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do you know about them? Take a seat, relax, and join us for the 2023 elections on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes, DTH, Channel 194, or ATN Live on Google Play Store and all our social media platforms. Twitter is at Atlantic TV Net. Facebook and YouTube is at Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram is at Atlantic TV Network. Elections 2023 from Mondays to Fridays at 8 p.m. Election 2023. We the people have a stake.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. Honourable you human trafficking. Honourable
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
The people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH Channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship, 0810-634-1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time.
The people, the candidates, the party, the campaigns. What really makes an election day? Enough of the rhetorics. It's time for issue-based politics. 2023 elections. Who are the candidates? What do
Good to have you back on ATN Blowout. If you're just joining us, it's our time to bring you issues making the news. But the most important thing is that we are not doing this alone. We have Honorable Obonawuke, who is a veteran journalist, a politician, of course, par excellence. But let's go straight to our first story this morning before we get to meet our resource person. And of course, we'll have Mr. Salami joining us from Abuja. The issue on ground right now is the issue of insecurity. Prison break. Federal government confirms that 551 inmates were missing as 5 died in Kuje prison attack. Now, report says that 1 Nigerian security and civil defense corps personnel and 5 inmates have been confirmed dead during the attack on the Kuje custodial center. Suspected Boko Haram terrorists had attacked the center and freed inmates, including 64 of their members, held in the prison custody. Addressing the press service spokesperson Umar Abubakar said the terrorists used explosives on the center's fence and its main entrance to gain access to the facility. Umar added a total of 879 inmates escaped from the facility during the unfortunate attack. As at the time of this report, 443 have been recaptured. 551 inmates are currently in custody. 443 inmates are still at large. Four inmates dead and 16 inmates sustained various degrees of injuries and are being treated at the moment. However, efforts are ongoing to recapture all fleeing inmates. He said the service would collaborate with the National Identity Management Commission to track all the fleeing inmates. He also dismissed claims that DSP Abba Kyari escaped from the center during the attack. He said this is also to confirm that the general public that DSP Abba Kyari and other VIPs held in the facility did not escape. They're presently in custody, hale and hearty. However, appealed to hospitals and other medical institutions and practitioners to report anyone that comes to them for treatment for gunshot injuries to the nearest law enforcement agency. Honorable Bonawuke, welcome to ATN Blowout this morning.
Thank you so much.
And Mr. Salami, good to have you on ATN Blowout this morning.
Good morning. I'm happy to be with you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's come to you quickly, Honorable Bonawuke. The issue of prison break. But before we do that, let's get the video. Let's get to see, because after the attack, ISWAP released the video claiming that they did the attack. At least this time, sure. Which gives credence to what Akeredolu said when he said, no, this is not ISWAP in Owo attack. If they were the one, they'll usually give you the identity. In fact, in their video contained their logo. But let's get to have that video, and then we'll come back to the conversation quickly.
Allahu Akbar!
دولة الإسلام باقية الله أكبر دولة الإسلام باقية دولة الإسلام باقية دولة الإسلام باقية 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 بإذن الله باقية الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
What a mess.
Have you back? Honorable Bona, this is where we are today. This is the reality.
Now, for me, I am worried, you know, because what you are seeing is a reproduction of kind of things that happen in other African countries, particularly where, with due respect, Fulanis have become key players. So we have a crisis on our hand, very serious crisis, and we shouldn't pretend about it. The other day, somebody said, OVJ did say that if we are not careful, there will be war. Now, these are tones that we shouldn't be listening to at this time, and it's disturbing.
What do you make of this?
Come notorious such tendencies, insurgency, you call it, banditry, you would like to refer to it, even militancy. It's such a shame that a country like this, which held and still holds a lot of promise for Africa, is going through this phase. And we don't seem to have answers. And that's the problem. How can we have a president go to Senegal at a time that his home is burning?
All right, we'll come back real quick to you on the issue of Senegal, but let's go to Mr. Salami. Mr. Salami, we just saw the video, and of course, he's been in the media space for quite some time. What ISWAP did in Ondo, or in a war case massacre, the federal government was quick to come out to say it's ISWAP. But the senior advocate of Nigeria, Governor Akeredolu, said, no, this is not ISWAP. If it's ISWAP, they have their identity. And true to that, ISWAP did come out a few hours after the prison. They released the video to say, we did this. Till this moment, we have not heard anything from the federal government to say, because the video is everywhere, we've not heard anything to counter to say, no, it wasn't ISWAP, or they actually have a hold on this. Can we kindly have your take on this issue?
Thank you very much. I want to express my sadness over this development. It is very, very unfortunate that this can happen in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the seat of government. In some countries, if violence comes as close as 100 kilometers to the Federal Capital, that is, if there is crisis around Lokoja or Kaduna. But here we are. There is no even any official statement from the correctional center. All we have is that the usual thing, even if the government, they will just express 1 minute silence and all. There is no solution. Like the first speaker, the other speaker has said, it is very, very disturbing. In fact, the government of Nigeria should wake up, because the first rule and the first duty of any government is to protect lives and property. But here we are. Some state governors are saying that people should bear arms and defend themselves. It shows a total collapse of our system. But this is not a time for blame game. It's unfortunate that in our own country, we cannot guarantee safety. With those of us living in Abuja, I am scared. So many people could not go out yesterday, even when you are living about 20, 30 kilometers from Kuje or from the city center. Some people cannot go out. It's very unfortunate. And I think if the government does not wake up fast, before we know it, what our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, said, that we may descend into war. And this is very disturbing, because Nigeria is not like all these other small countries that can have war and the people will run to Nigeria or run for help. We have nowhere to run to for help, because we are too big, we are too large for other African countries to cater for us. When there was war in Chad, Nigeria bore the burden. They were fending for them. But when there is war in Nigeria, which African country can fend for us? This thing happening in the federal capital is so disturbing, and they are becoming a burden every day after attacking the presidential convoy, which I thought could never happen. In the home state of the president, in Katsina State, the convoy of Mr. President was attacked and some people were wounded. this, and instead of using the euphemism to call them bandits, to call them this and that, they are terrorists. But I don't know why we have fallen so low to this level. It's very unfortunate.
All right.
I think the earlier we wake up, the better for everybody.
All right, we'll come back to how low we have fallen because there are so many other issues we need to deal with this morning. But now, Vincent.
Well, Vivian, I would like our guests to look at this issue from this angle. Don't you think that the government is overwhelmed and it is high time the president and his team admit and begin to seek for international help? I don't think there's any crime in doing that. Don't you think the president should beg people who know how to do this thing to say, please, come and help us tackle this situation, because enough is enough. I like the two guests to take to maybe get their take on this.
Your take, Honorable Nawuke, bringing mercenaries, as Vincent suggested, do you think we have gotten to that point, or that's where we are, as a matter of fact?
There was a point in time in Rivers when we had a challenge around militancy, and there were efforts by the Rivers government at the time to secure Israelis' participation, and that helped to change the tide of the war. So if we, unfortunately for us, don't have sufficient policemen, if for any reason our soldiers are overstretched, then of course securing help. But in this era, you should be talking about technology. People are delivering bombs with drones. So you can hit enemy targets with guided drones. Somebody was killed in Iraq by the Americans. It was a drone attack. It's becoming popular. So these things are in the marketplace. They can be acquired. Now, but the issue here is that there appears to be some inaction when it comes to reason, when it comes to action on the part of our government. You know, again, I'm still miffed. Now, there were reports, unconfirmed, that perhaps 2 policemen were killed. Now they were hearing that nobody died or whatever, people were injured. But there was some information suggesting that something like that happened. And it is seriously embarrassing. Those families, of those policemen, if they are dead, those families of staff of the presidency who were attacked, or the president who were attacked, deserve some succor at this time. And meanwhile, we have somebody who's transformed into a salesman, traveling everywhere. It doesn't make sense.
All right, we'll quickly come back to you, but Godwin is itching so much to have a take on this. Over now to you, Godwin.
Vivian, thank you so much for bringing me on this conversation. Well, I want to take this conversation straight to Mr. Salami that's already standing by. Mr. Salami, going by the Abuja, the way I'm looking at it right now, I'm looking at the geography of Abuja and Kuje prison in itself, and looking at it also for where it is positioned in the heart of the capital city of Abuja. Are we saying right now that this whole thing, or we're trying to shy away from it, that this whole theory or this whole operational dimension doesn't look conspiratorial from your angle?
Yes, you are correct. There is conspiracy at the highest level. You know, even when President Jonathan was in power, he said Boko Haram were in his government. There is a lot of these traitors. There is treachery of the highest order. There is, before you make Jack, the information would have reached the terrorists. I don't want to call them bandits. They are terrorists. There is a lot of connivance. There is a lot of infiltration of the security apparatus by these traitors, maybe for certain reasons best known to them. Where Abuja is close to Niger State. If, in fact, part of Abuja is part of Niger. If you are in Abuja, between Zuba and Madala is already in Niger. But Niger is already under the control of bandits for years. And the senator from that zone has complained on the floor of the Senate that his people are paying levies to terrorists to allow them to go to farm. This is something that is not up to 100 kilometers from the federal capital. I don't know. This is very, very worrisome. And the silence of the government is even more worrisome. That the government, if they are overwhelmed, like Vincent said, and they need help, In the international community, there is help everywhere. Everybody, when the American citizen was kidnapped and taken to Sokoto State in Nigeria, they came here and removed the man, and nobody was hurt. The Minister of Defense could not say anything. They came, they brought their own special seal and removed their own citizen. Nobody was hurt. If we need help, we can get it, but there's conspiracy. That one is, the conspiracy factor is not a guesswork. It is, there are some people in the system that are aiding and abetting these things. And the government has the facts, the apparatus to fish them out. But nobody knows what is happening. It's just that some people place certain factors like ethnicity, religion, state of origin above the nation. There's no patriotism at all in Nigeria. Nobody loves this country. You love your state, you love your tribe, you love your religion, but not the country.
All right, Mr. Salami, we'll come back to you. Honorable, I know you're itching to have a take more on this, but let's quickly go to our second story. We'll come back to the prison break before we leave the show today. But now, towards 2023, P2B says, I prefer young people with fresh ideas as running mate. This is like a clap back giving to Kwankwaso. But yesterday, P2B, the Labour Party nominee for president, discussed his preference for a running mate, stating that he would prefer a younger person. When asked to address speculation on social media that he had chosen Senator Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, a politician, businessman, and his vice president candidate, Obi said that although discussions are underway, he had not yet selected a running mate. We are talking to quite a number of people, and Baba Ahmed is a capable hand, and I wish he is the one. But I wish I can work with somebody who is more younger. I prefer younger people with fresh ideas who have a lot to offer rather than recycling old hands. I want a competent person, and I'm building a formidable team. I want people who can look me in the eye and disagree with me during cabinet meetings, people who have their own minds and ideas. If you agree with me in 3 meetings, then you are gone, because that means you don't have your own ideas. I want people and cabinet members who can say, Mr. President, you're wrong. On when he released his manifesto, he said rather than a manifesto, he had practiced all that he's preaching, and the records are there for Nigerians to verify. How can I hire professors who write a draft policies document for me that I don't even believe in? I have replicated all that I'm promising Nigerians before. It would be the same thing. What I did in Anambra and what I achieved is what we will replicate on a larger scale. We want Nigerians to become the engine of production, the presidential candidate said. But we'll come back to that. But let's come back to you now, Honorable Bondamuke. But I have to take my staircase away. Let's, Ade, while we're reading this, Ade was busy itching in his ear. So Ade, over to you, please.
You remember we had looked at Peter Obi some days ago. And this is just another confirmation to that thing we've always said. There is a manifesto, there is a blueprint in Peter Obi's head waiting to be unleashed to help the Nigerian state. Just take a look at what is happening. He said that he needs fresh ideas. I mean, how can you be working with somebody and from time
watching? Frankly, Peter B himself is not new to the system. He's been around, and I think that Peter might be as right. He will need a team. Basically, you have a blueprint in your head. You need to have a conversation with people. People talk to people, we say in this country, and people understand. So you need to bring those things onto the table. We need to know what you are presenting. Okay? Yes, track records, we can say they exist. For some people, enormous. For some people, just nothing. You can see the running battle between him and someone like Asari Dokubo, who thinks that he's just scamming Nigerians. That's by the way. The point is, there's no doubt whatsoever that you need fresh ideas. But also note that having experience is not a vice. Okay, you create the impression that you just probably new faces, new ideas. we're talking about governance for crying out loud. Governing Nigeria, not a state. So the experimentation is not part of it. But I'll give to Obi, when Obama came on stream, not many people thought he was going to be a good president of the United States. But he did. So the implication is, perhaps, there has to be a blend between some level of freshness and some level of experience. One is vibrant, one is experienced. And putting them together, acting together with the Nigerian people, probably will give us better insight as to what will happen, what will transpire in 2023.
Go to you now in Lagos, Godwin.
Right. Thank you so much. This conversation is one conversation that I've been looking out for a while right now. So let me take this conversation to Honorable Ogbonna in the studio. Honorable Ogbonna, in the government of UK, and also let's come back to Nigerian as it stands right now. And Peter Obi said he needs a running mate that is very active. One begins to ponder how active are Nigerian youths generally when it comes to leadership position, and how we'll be able to prove ourselves worthy to be able to be competent, and the rationale. Do you think at this point that Peter Obi's choice of words right now is just another political rhetoric to just stir up the polity in order for him to get to office? What's your take on these general notions?
Oh, well, Peter's been very smart. Thus far, he's the rave of the moment. On social media, everywhere, there is this obedient slogan that is all over the place, and is seen as a one rallying younger people to action. So if there are young people who are being registered by INEC, given the extension of time, oh, it's P2B, they are going for P2B. And of course, there are movements across board. Things are happening. But let's say this. I believe that you need to grow into a position. The Nigerian youth has contributed in so many ways to nation building. There are people who are in industry, who are in commerce, who are doing things. And you can't ignore that fact, those contributions. They are out there in the open space. But when it comes to politics, you need some experiences as well. And it's not something at the level of the president. The reason why you have local governments is that it's a training ground for would-be politicians. The reason why you have state government is that at that level, there's some level of maturity. But when it comes to the presidency, it's not a gamble. We need to have experience, and we are talking foreign policy, you are talking defense, you are talking all kinds of things. So it's not something that you bring a green on and imagine that because you need fresh ideas, the solution lies there. No, I don't agree with that.
Very valid take on that, needing young people. But again, we have Mr. Salami and, of course, Vincent standing by from Abuja studios.
I would like, thank you for bringing me to this conversation, Vivian, but I would like Salami to give me his take on this. You know, Obi has talked about the fact that he doesn't really need a blueprint. The blueprint is in his head. The issue is this: if the blueprint is in your head, how do your followers understand what you have? By the time you build a cabinet, do they need to come to you to say, what do you want us to do about agriculture? What do you want us to do about road infrastructure? Don't you think that the blueprint is a necessity, a necessary guide and roadmap for that particular administration?
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Salami.
Okay, I think like the Honorable said, there should be a blend between the fresh and the experience. But nobody can rule out the blueprint and the team player syndrome. I mean, once you have the blueprint in your head and you have a team, now you download this to your team, all of you will share the idea. Now you work as a team. I think if by the grace of God he gets the office, there will be seminars, there will be syndicate groups where he will download these ideas to the team so that they will move at the same rate. It's not that we know that even when he's talking about young people or fresh ideas, it doesn't mean that people who have never done anything or NYSC graduates. No, he's talking about people who are relatively of age I mean, younger age, not talking about people who are still thinking that West Germany and East Germany are still together. You know, you are talking about people, if you have a president who can be on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on all the social media himself, not waiting for what one minister will come and brief him, Your Excellency, everything is all right. There is peace everywhere. No, we want a president that can feel the pulse of the country. The person that, and that is the fresh idea. That is the idea he has. But if he can get it first he will now share it with his team, and then everybody becomes a team player, so that the idea will now trickle down to the state, to the local governments, like Honorable Bona has said. So I believe in it, but he's not talking about greenhorns. He's not talking about NYC graduates. He's talking about people who are relatively in tune with the modern technology of doing things, doing business. There is a new normal now, since after the COVID-19. Some people can never adapt to that. Such people have no space in the next government. We want people who are on social media too, but you don't win election on social media. It's when you have gotten the power that you now use the tools of technology, modern technology in ICT, information and communication technology, so that when you are talking, your minister knows what you mean. It's not when you are sleeping and the minister wakes you up and say, okay, there is peace in Sokoto, even when they are killing people. You understand?
All right.
So this is my take.
All right. I'm still coming back to you, Mr. Salami. There is a cut in what Peter Obi said. Two issues became very necessary, that he doesn't need a manifesto, that the manifesto is in his head. But there's a challenge with that. And I'll quickly bring that to you so you can buttress more if you have a better understanding. And that's the manifesto is not his property. Manifesto is what you present to the people that gives us idea. We are not in Peter Obi's head. That gives us insight into who you are and what you want to do. And of course, talking about having fresh horn in his cabinet, that's basically the point he was able to relate. There is a challenge with that. So what he didn't tell us, oh, this is the class of young people we're looking at. Like some of my colleagues already pointed out, when you say young people, how many of us are actually ready for office? How many of us have the experience as it is? So, but maybe you can buttress on these 2 points and help us to have a better understanding of what he was trying to say.
Thank you very much. I think what I understand there is that the fact that he said he doesn't have a manifesto doesn't mean that he doesn't have a roadmap. And it may not be written that he can hand over to you as a booklet. You can imagine there are countries that don't have even a completely written constitution. There are conventions. He has an idea of what he wants to do. And I know that by the time he wants church to know, he will download it, he will bring it down. It may not be in form of a booklet that he can hand over to all the parties that have been having manifestos since we have independence. What have they done? The manifesto will be there. The whole thing will be beautiful. If you look at the Constitution of Nigeria and the laws we are making, all of them are very beautiful. Even Britain that colonized us don't have such beautiful laws and manifestos. But it's the implementation. Even if you don't have a single document, if you mean well for this country, if you say there will be no more health tourism, medical tourism, and you repair our own hospital that you can have your kidney transplant here where you will not be ridiculed in UK, you don't need to write it down. I mean, it is not that he doesn't have something. He has it, but it is de-emphasizing the importance of having a document which the person may never follow. All the parties that have been ruling us, they have manifestos, they have written documents, even their own constitution, they don't obey it. Even their own primary, they say somebody who didn't participate was there, and they are ready to go to court. So this is what is de-emphasizing, I think.
All right, when we look at Peter Obi saying that if you are in his cabinet and for 3 meetings you agree with everything he says, you're gone. Well, maybe that's a sign that there's something new coming on board if he gets into power. But we'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll go back to Akwa Ibom State where there seems to be a drama at the NYC Lodge. We'll be right back. Meet the people making the difference in our time on ATN Icons. Here, we present you legends celebrated for their heroism in different fields and serve as role models today. ATN Icons, showing every Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Atlantic Television Network, StarTimes DTH channel 194, ATN Live on Google App Store, Facebook Atlantic Television Network, YouTube Atlantic Television Network, Instagram Atlantic TV Network, Twitter Atlantic TV Net. For sponsorship 0810 634 1777. ATN Icons, celebrating the giants of our time. Good to have you back on ATM Blowout. It's been a beautiful discussion so far with Mr. Salami Haruni and the Honorable Bona Wuke from, of course, our Lagos, Port Harcourt and Abuja studios. But let's go to Akwa Ibom State right now, where gunmen stormed the NYSC lodge, robbed and raped women. On Wednesday, armed individuals broke into the National Youth Service Scheme Corps Lodge in the Uyo local government area of Akwa Ibom State of information drive and raped the ladies who were inside. It was gathered that the gunmen who stormed the area by 1 a.m. that were on tricycles scattered away valuables, including laptops, cell phones, and cash. Some of the corps members complained that despite the cries for help during the incident, no one responded when they spoke with newsmen the following morning. One of the court members, who identified himself as Emeka Emmanuel, said they arrived on a tricycle, popularly called Keke, and immediately started operation. They beamed high-intensity torchlights everywhere and pounced on every door with heavy iron and threatened to shoot us if we failed to cooperate. A female court member, who also spoke on the condition of anonymity, choked back tears, claimed that after the thugs broke into their room through the back door, they forcibly took her phones, laptop, and cash. You know that at that period of the night, most of us females we used to sleep naked, and the suddenness of the attack caught us unprepared. They beamed the torch through the window and threatened to shoot if the door is not quickly opened, she explained. She said, I have never heard of this anywhere in Nigeria, even the north, where insecurity is at the highest peak, that coppers would be deliberately targeted, raped, and robbed by criminals at gunpoint. Is it because we are not from Akwa Ibom that no one could hear our shouts and come to save us? Another female colleague lamented. Now, Comrade Godwin Okpo, the youth leader in the region, attributed the breakdown of local residency internal security plans as a cause of the persistent criminal activity in and around and surrounding communities. He added, when I heard the incident late in the night around 1 a.m. this morning, I moved to the place, but since I was alone, there was nothing I could do. That's really a sad one there, but it's what it is. You're closer to this, so you can have a better understanding of what this is about.
Well, before I will come back to take any say on this.
Party makes you accountable. The people ought to know what you want to do. And so if it becomes a promise, they want to know whether you're able to deliver on that promise or not. So it's not something that, God forbid, if something goes wrong with Peter, what will Labour do? What will the next person do? So this thing has got to be documented. And the other thing to say is that there is an entry of Labour into the mix, meaning that ideologically there might just be a shift in our politics. Labour is welfarist, everybody knows that. And so you are talking about a people's party, a workers' party. Now, it introduces quite a lot of elements which will become seen in the future, and which is why it makes it important for Obi to tell us exactly what he wants to do and find out whether what he wants to do is not a variance with what Labour wants to do as a party.
All right, now let's run back to the issue at hand.
Like they said, they are federal government's property. Their security shouldn't be joked with. But what we are beginning to see seem to be like they're on their own. I felt really bad reading that, to see that a young woman who was sent to serve Nigeria in a land she does not know anything about is being endangered. She's being raped and put in a situation that she's not supposed to be. I think that's really sad. But let's get to have your take on that, sir.
First of all, my mind goes out to those who have been abused by those rogues. And then the fact that it does appear to me that even the NYSC scheme that we're pursuing has lost the verve. Okay, so it makes sense if we were to allow our children after graduation to go home. We can protect them. We use them for elections. They are killed. They are sent into villages. They are attacked. They are raped. Those lodges that they are staying in are paid for by the local government, the councils. My experience shows. Now, who is responsible? The one in the village who is afraid of the evil-looking bad guy who is high on drugs, who can kill anyone at any time, who has no gun to defend anyone. How do you expect the person to come out in the night? It happened in the night, not even daytime. So there's a lot of complications. But it shows, because part of that report said, somebody said he called the police. Police came after the people had left. You know? So it tells you a lot of story of how unprepared we are. So if we can't fund the security of young Nigerians who mean a lot to their parents, they've just been trained. They didn't train them so they could be raped. They didn't train them so they could be killed. If you can't take care of them, for crying out loud, let them go home. Disband this NYSC thing. NYSC, sure, where we are, the Americans have this ROT program. The ROT gives you a 1-year training in military. So you have auxiliaries when that's a war. And that's more useful. Just don't take them out there, they go and march, and then you send them to the villages. Some of them are sent to villages outside their states, while children of other people sent to their own states get employment, even before they can come back home. Whose fault?
It's really a sad one there. I can just imagine the state of the young women. But Godwin, let's come to you now in Lagos.
This is a very sad issue. So I understand Honorable Ogbunaya's reaction to this whole issue. It's really sad. And like you read the comment, like if it's supposed to be in a place, one of the core members said if it's supposed to be a place like the north, they would understand, but then in the south. But it is what it is right now. So away from Honorable Gbuna, let me take this question to Mr. Salami. Mr. Salami, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, sir. So let me bring this question of the core members to you right now. I know because of the proximity of the North right now, we should have had similar experiences in this whole stuff. So I want to find out from you right now. Firstly, will you support Honorable Bunaya's claim or assertions that the core members, the NYC scheme has overstayed its welcome, so it should be scrapped out of the system? That's the first part. And the second part is on the issue of the police still saying, as at yesterday, no official statements have been released from the police or either confirming this incident or disproving. So is this another area of speculations in order for us to see the disbandment of the national service scheme from some quarters, or these are just speculations? What's your general take on this whole issues?
Thank you very much. My take is that I don't agree that the NYSC has outlived its usefulness. No. Every part of the country, every part of our Nigerian structures are being attacked by these same bandits, by these same... You see, when the government, if you know the idea of government, we agreed to surrender some of our rights, all our rights, to an institution to defend us. If that government cannot defend people, okay, when they attack schools, do we now disband schools? When they attack the military, NDA in Kaduna, do we then disband the military? We should have a central government that can defend the citizens wherever they are. The NYSC idea is still laudable today. But I also agree with the Ogbonaya that the NYSC can also be converted into some military training, form of military training, where once you finish your university or, when you are called to NYSC, you now have an opportunity to undergo 1 year or 2 years military training so that you can, we must take security very seriously. Let it be converted to not only all this formal training alone, let it include a segment or most of it military training, so that, because security has become #1 issue in the country now. But I don't subscribe to disbanding it, no.
All right.
Let's go over to you now, Vincent.
Well, Vivian, thank you for bringing me on this conversation. Actually, when I read the story, I felt really, really bad, and it makes me recall those days why we were also serving, and I just imagine this kind of thing happening to us. But let me go to Mr. Honorable Gbuna. Honorable Gbuna, don't you think the scheme should urgently, there should be a reformation of this scheme such that communities who don't sign on the taking don't get core members? Communities must sign on the taking to protect core members before core members are sent to these areas. You know, more often than not, people are just sent to communities where their security cannot be guaranteed. And one part of the scheme is that you must have a primary assignment. If you don't have a primary assignment schedule, it's as good as you have not served. I think, don't you think the scheme should be reformed in that direction, in order to guarantee the security of these core members, these youth who are willing to serve Nigeria no matter what?
So let me start from the bottom. There was a time when the general feeling was that the NYSC project will help unite Nigeria and create a new crop of Nigerians who understand national integration, who understand a sense of duty. That was the idea behind it. Why people looked forward to participating in the core service. But the issue here now, as we speak, is that very much the NYSC program needs to be modified. And that's the point I was making. And that's why I said, if we don't know what to do with it, then dump it. But if you know what to do with it, I gave an example of what happens in other climes where you can have access to military training. I'm happy that my colleague in Abuja is saying the same thing. We need to make it adaptable to time. Security is a very serious challenge. And knowing that I think the one who wants to attack you, who knows that you are well equipped, whether in self-defense or even armed, who will be a bit weary to attack you. That's true. Now, then the other one, yeah, there should be, it shows you how communal life has broken down. In those old times, people were happy to see youngsters dressed in their khaki and in their T-shirts with NYS inscribed, going around and helping communities. In short, there was a time when core members even built facilities in the communities as part of the requirements of the program. Now, this whole thing has become a bit confusing. Now, I speak as a father. I have children who've gone to university, who probably have done NYSC. God forbid that this kind of thing happen to them. It's just terrible. It's kind of thing that makes a man drag a gun or a cutlass and he goes to war. It's wrong. Now, those communities, like he has said, of course there has to be a redefinition of the entire program, you know, because again, when you go on a year's service, you are supposed to be deployed. Now, if there are, these communities, for instance, don't give any guarantees, are you going to keep all the coppers in the office, state office? They need to be on assignment, and so that means they need to be assigned. You know, so I think there has to be some clear thinking, you know, because at this point, we need the service of our young men and women, we need the protection of our young men and women, and we need to have a program that's articulate, that's beamed towards achieving greater heights in these times. Parties are busy asking for coppers to be sent to the localities. You think that they got there by accident? The answer is no, because they are needed in elections. You understand? So there is so much that we need to do to upgrade the service. It's not something to be emotional about. It's something that we need to put our thinking caps on, and then we need to think deeply, you know, about the future of this country. It's lip service when you talk about nationalism and you're not achieving it. You know, so I think that going forward, restructuring NYSC will be critical because the goals have not been achieved. Let's not lie to ourselves.
I hope that the federal government or someone who is in authority when it comes to the NYC is listening and they are willing to do something about this situation. But again, there is something that is calling for all of our attention, and that's still in the matter of organ harvesting. Judge amends order to enable Ekweremadu to get access to David Wamini's biodata. The Federal High Court in Abuja has given orders compelling the National Identity Management Commission to release David Wamini's biodata information to a former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu. Earlier, Mr. Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice had applied for the courts to enable them to back their claim that Mr. Wamini, whom they took to London, United Kingdom in June to harvest his kidney for their ailing daughter, was not a minor. But following an application by the NIMC, the Judge Inyang Eko ruled that instead of releasing Mr. Wamini's biodata information directly to the Ekweremadus as earlier ordered, it should be released to the Attorney General of the Federation for onward transmission to the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Ekwerimadu's lawyer, Adegboyega Awomolo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, told the judge that NIMC had yet to comply with the court order. Responding, NIMC lawyer Muazu Muhammad informed the judge that the commission was reluctant to comply with the court order because it was not served with the hearing notice prior to the issuance of the order. I'm coming to you now. You are a politician as well as a journalist, as a matter of fact. You see, this whole story about the organ harvesting, Ekwerimadu and his wife, an unfortunate incident, especially for the innocent daughter of theirs who happened to be sick. But the request for 1 minute's bio data, he is still a Nigerian, though he's in the United Kingdom right now. The Nigerian government authorized him before he could leave the country. Now, why are they even talking about releasing his bio data? That's supposed to be his private. He is not a criminal, as it is right now. No court, he hasn't been accused of any form of criminality. Why are they even attempting to release this young man's bio data without first and foremost asking the United Kingdom, first grant us access to our citizen. Let's even talk with him and understand, at least get to hear officially his own side of the story. Why are we even having conversation about his bio data and then sending Ms. Rees as a representative to Ekwerimadu? What exactly are we looking at here?
Yeah, well, it's critical. First of all, the impression you get, or we had, was that the young man was about 15 years old and therefore a minor. That impression came from the British for some reason. But the biodata, of course, you need to know who you are dealing with, who you are talking about. I don't think there's anything unusual in this circumstance. No, it isn't. Now, the whole thing is like a bit messy because I don't think there is evidence, some information that the Ekwerimadu's interfaced with the British embassy, British officials in Nigeria. It is possible that they have interfaced with the doctors. They didn't get there by accident. So everybody, you know, particularly if you had a donor, everybody was supposed to be on the same page, you know, but it's happened. Now, the good thing is, I expect that the Nigerian government had asked for explanations from the British through diplomatic channels. They are not supposed to be on the street. It's obvious that the Nigerian government is providing lawyers for Ekwerimadu at this point. It's suggesting that some credibility in the Ekwerimadu's account, some attempt to save somebody whose only offense was to save an ailing daughter. You don't expect a father, a mother to just watch the child die, wither away. Okay? And if they thought they had a bargain, unfortunately, the thing turned upside down when they got to the UK. Then there's a problem. That's a problem. You know, but for me, I just think that there's nothing wrong if Nigeria were to furnish the British authorities with all of the information that we need. They don't need to. Yes, the one who said, pass it through the Attorney General, I don't have a problem with that. It's credible. The Attorney General is supposed to be a credible source. Then the other thing is that Nigeria is also involved in this matter, right?
Exactly. I was going to that. This Ekwerimadu, his wife, and Sonia, their daughter, are Nigerian, just like David Wamini is a Nigerian. So when you hear that two Nigerians are having issue and the British government comes in to protect one against the other, at what point should our government go to say, yes, we have the database of this? Is that what we should be talking about? Or having access to hear from the young man himself, at least to hear his own side of the story? Because officially, we don't have any information. They're just from the Ekwerimadus.
It is possible. It is possible that the Nigerian embassy, excuse me, in the UK, may have had access to the young man the same way they had access to Ekwerimadu. At a point like this, it's just not Ekwerimadu and David whose issues are at stake. The Nigerian image is at stake, and it's a question of law. If you have a donor, you have committed no offense in the UK. Now, but if you do something untoward, suggesting, manipulating the process, then you'll be talking about organ harvesting as well, in the sense that we are discussing it now.
All right, let's take the discussion now to Mr. Salami, who's still standing by. Now, you recall that
Because that's the official channel. The Attorney General of the Federation is an official government channel. And from my own information, I understand that the Nigerian High Commissioner in the UK has been on this issue. There was a time the Senate has commended the Nigerian High Commissioner for what he's already doing. They have been on this issue, and then it is a question of trying to prove that this David is not 15 years. That's why those documents are very important. In law, they need evidence. He is saying it's a minor, but if where he registered and the bank where he is banking with his BVN can show that he is 21, then the issue, the court in London will even have to know that they are dealing with a liar. So it is very important, but passing through the Attorney General is also very key. I think releasing the information to Attorney General through diplomatic channel to the UK and to the court in London is ideal. At the end of the day, the truth will come out, whether Ekuremadu is lying or David is lying. But at the center of all these things, the young Sonia is there suffering. Nobody is even talking about how she will get another organ now. And it's very unfortunate. It's very because Ekuremadu is still a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and is the immediate past Deputy Senate President. So we are not talking of ordinary Nigerian, because the image of the whole country is at stake. If it is proved in London that the former Senate President of Nigeria is a liar and is into organ harvesting, it will damage our already bad image further. But if it is proved that he's a young man who took advantage of the Ekweremadus to come to London and now have his own dream realized, then the authorities will know what to do too. So everything is fine if they pass it through the Attorney General.
Right, David is one man, David Wamini, is one man that we don't know where he is right now, what the situation is. Well, we hope that the government looks into that. I know that Godwin is itching to have a take on this. Godwin, please.
Well, Vivian, what an issue. And you know, this conversation is very, very interesting if you ask me. But then, since we are journalists, we can't be the judge in our own court. So I'll take this question straight to Honorable Bunaya in the studio. Honorable, you agree with me right now that if the court subpoenas a person or a court orders a person to ask, or there's an injunction from a court to a person to follow a certain command or an action, and the person is not willing to comply with this action, that can be more, you can go for that of a contempt, or that's a contempt of court. But right now, the NIMC are saying that they are not going to obey the court order, and they are not going to follow because there was no prior hearing to that. So my question is, don't we think that this is an irresponsibility in the part of NIMC saying openly that they're not going to follow the court order because it didn't come through a process, knowing that this is a competent court of law? That's one on the other hand. Then I'm taking this also to Mr. Salami right now. Mr. Salami, you spoke about the data. So I want to ask on the data falsification in Nigeria. We both know that basically that this issue of sending in the biodata and the reluctancy of many organizations, or like NIMC, to want to send data out is because most times the data that we have, Nigerians have a lot of age because we use a lot of affidavits to get our ages right. I know a lot of sworn affidavits. Don't you think at this point that even if the Attorney General is going to pass through the Attorney General in order to be able to protect the image of Nigerian also, there might be a bit of data falsification, even if it's coming from a credible source?
No, I think passing it through that source is the best. We can't bring angels to handle these issues. And this document, we are not talking of what happened today. The time he was registering with NIMC, he wouldn't know that in the next few years, I will be asked to donate my kidney. Or when he opened his bank account, where he filled his date of birth, the exact date of birth, he didn't know that time that he will have this type of case. So if you go into the archive and retrieve this
just like he didn't know that I was going to be transmitting is going to be transplanting outside the country, just like he didn't know that part also too.
Yes. So these are the only things that can be credible evidence in a court of law. because you get this information voluntarily years ago, and you can. But if we cannot trust our own Attorney General, if we cannot trust our own channels, then we are, because our image is, nobody outside they don't believe us. That is why many of them don't want to do business with us, because today you are so years, but this one that David did not know a few years ago that these issues will crop up is the most credible source, and passing through the Attorney General. And mind you, the British High Commission in Nigeria, the letter Ekweremadu wrote to them that time, they still have a copy. There are some things that have happened before that could be used as evidence in the court of law now. So we want to know if David is 15 or 21, and we want to know who.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Salami. Vincent.
Thank you for bringing me on this issue. Really, I wanted to confirm from the Honorable in the studio, Honorable Woki, based on this outcome, this development, what does this speak about the interagency collaboration and respect for the rule of law, given the image of Nigerian at stake? Somebody, Mr. Salami, actually pointed out the credentials of Ekweremadu earlier on. And of course, we have somebody who's will further, if they find out to be true that this action, the organ harvesting allegations are true, it will further batter the image of Nigeria. And of course, we are having an agency saying, well, we will not release this thing, delaying the process. Ordinarily, what one should have expected that these agencies will begin to collaborate to ensure that, of course, this goes through and this issue is settled. What does this speak about the interagency collaboration of in Nigeria?
Is at this point, what we need is information that could either commit the Ekweremadus or exonerate them. So what it means is that the federal government, for instance, may not be taking sides, but we need to put all the cards on the table. Now, to have a medical condition means that you have access to a hospital. To have access to surgery means that there is a doctor standing by. And it means that there were certain information not available to us in the public space that was already available through the process relating to Ekweremadu, his relationship with his doctor, the movement of David from Nigeria onto UK. It was all a process. Now, for me, what I find is that, yes, our image will be very much at stake as a country. And then the innocent should not be made to suffer. If Ekweremadu had done everything right, he shouldn't suffer because somebody went out there and created a wrong impression. Okay? Perhaps the young man who is at the center of this storm also probably didn't know that what he was about to do would turn out like this. You know, maybe somebody wanted to play smart. Never mind. I don't know how he can convince me that he went to the UK without knowing why he was going. It's difficult. Of course, when he lied about his age, somebody from his family said, no, that's not your age. Which means that there are some members of his family who know why he left the country. You know, so that we shouldn't be talking about technicalities here on the home front. Time is of the essence. A Nigerian citizen, a serving senator, is in trouble, and not just him, his wife, and then the life of a youngster who ought to live with some understanding, because now you don't take somebody's organs by force and plant in somebody's body, so there has to be some understanding. Now, the life of that kind of person is hanging in the balance. So speed is of the essence. I don't believe in NIMC saying because certain processes were not signed. If there is an order of court, there's an order of court. Those technicalities are immaterial. The Nigerian, what do you call them, Immigration Service has given information available to it on this young man got a passport. So every agency that has anything to do with information relating to him must release it.
Well,
Let me add that there's also a Freedom of Information Act in Nigeria. That act says you release information.
All right, what we hope that the government can do the needful. But our last story for today is on President Buhari making a stop at Kuje prison yesterday en route to Senegal. A lot has been said about this issue in the news, but because of our time, we really need to look at this. I'll come back to you, Honorable Bunawuke, because you seem to not find it funny. As soon as you stepped into this, you literally said he's a salesman, because your country is burning, such an embarrassing situation happening in the country's capital. And you made a stop and you're going, just say you need investigation. Who was supposed to be here, ask few questions and make the usual demands, which we know nothing. So far, looking at his antecedent comes out of it. But right now, he's in Senegal. The whole country is worried. Talking about this repeated prison break, yet the president is out of the country. But let's get to have your take on that quickly.
I don't know why. There have been instances where presidents of countries have had to cancel their trip in the face of some untoward development in their country. And I don't know why our president, in the twilight of his administration, has become more of a traveler and a salesman. I don't understand it at all. Is it the search for Esther code? What's the pressing issue? He has a deputy vice president who just sits at home while he gallivants. Doesn't make sense. Now, this issue, how could the president have left Abuja? Prisoners on the run, lives lost. Then you just pay a perfunctory visit to Kuje prison, and then you just off you go. I don't know. What's more important? Or is it the meeting? Is there another thing for which he went to Senegal beyond that meeting that he was going? You should be able to. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. Believe me, I think that at a time like this, we need a government that is compassionate. We need a government that is focused. We need a president that understands his mandate. This is madness. Where is he going to? Some people were shot in your convoy. You just left. There are too many things that will stop this president from going anywhere at this time. Yet he travels. What's the meaning of that?
All right, let's go back to Mr. Salami.
Yes, he doesn't even know his priority. He doesn't show himself as a father of the whole nation. They call him Baba. Baba in Hausa means father. If he, okay, in his convoy that was going to Katsina, if he was there and was shot, will he go to this journey? The whole presidential convoy was going to Katsina, his home state. He was shot in his home, and I don't know. We don't have a president. That's what I can say. Honestly, what else? In that convoy, some people have gone short wounds. They are, whether they survive or not, he doesn't care. No empathy, no sympathy, no feeling. I don't know. I'm so angry. I'm so sad about it. Is it my country? I mean, a president that we elected with our votes is leading look at how many people, how many kilometers is Kuje to Aso Rock? Which means if they have attacked Aso Rock, he will still travel. If he's on hot, if he escaped on hot, he will just travel. I mean, it's very unfortunate. God will help us. He wants to use the next 1 year or the few months to make more Esther code. What will he need the money for at this age? I don't know.
Right? Maybe it's for Esther code. Maybe it's for the fun of it being flown abroad. You know, maybe that's what it is. But let's get to you now, Vincent.
Thank you, Vivian, for bringing me on this issue. But I would like, I heard Mr. Honorable Obonna saying, of course, the president doesn't really understand his mandate. And of course, many will feel that, of course, what is happening here is that don't you think the president is feeling, well, we have done our best, and of course, I've run out of ideas, there's nothing more we can do. Don't you think that is the case that is at hand now? Ordinarily, if there's an alternative or there's something he has different to do, perhaps he would have stayed back to do. But of course, don't you think this is a confirmation that, well, there's nothing I can do, I've done my best?
But the impression I get, and I agree with Salami, it has no empathy at all. Let's be frank. There are many people down the ladder who can handle the assignment. There is a foreign minister. When it comes to such diplomatic missions, is well equipped, understands even better than the president. There is a vice president, articulate, sound, who, should it become necessary, can represent the president. What we are saying is that we need a leader who stays back, who understands our needs, who understands our situation, who can empathize with the people, who could be paying visits at this time to the families of those who got hurt on his convoy, who should be leading the operation to get back those fleeing prisoners. For instance, it's serious business when prisoners have eloped and they still haven't become reformed. That's a big threat, a huge threat to the law-abiding public. Now, I don't understand this horrid, packaged travel that has become part of the life of Mr. President. Just 1 year to go. Does he need to see the whole world?
Just like Honorable Bundawoke is doing. Hopefully we'll get an answer. Maybe not, but 2023 is here. But let's come to you now, Godwin.
Vivian, I can feel the tension already in the studio by Honorable Bunaya, and I can tell for free that he's really angry right now with the situation of the president. I know, Honorable Bunaya, if you're allowed, if you're given the chance, that Buhari would have, if Buhari is a child by now, he should have gotten some strokes from you. But then it is what it is right now in Nigeria. So let me ask you again, Honorable. Let me go first to Mr. Salami first. Mr. Salami, at this point, I heard you said something like by your words, you sound like you've already given up on the country, like this is not the country that we desire or we hope to get, and this is not the point we plan to get to. So I want to ask you at this point, what if this travel by Mr. President, I know we've said that he ought to have delegated, but what if this, what if he has delegated and also this travel to Senegal is impact-oriented? Should we be saying that the President should not embark on this trip at this time, even if it's impact-oriented?
Like the Honorable has said, you know, the Minister of Foreign Affairs is even better equipped to handle this type of journey if the President cannot go because of obvious reason. It is Nigerian citizens, the same people that voted for him, that are being shot in his own convoy. He is scheduled to go to Katsina for Salah, and the advanced party has gone. And they were gone down in Dusima in his own state. I mean, even that one alone is supposed to stop. But this Kuje prison, that is also a few meters from Asoro. And then, so I don't know it's not that I have given up on the country. My view is that I know Buhari closely when I was in Kaduna. He used to drive himself, everybody. So he came to power with very high expectation. People thought that if Buhari came, I mean, if at that time, 2015, that there will be no insecurity as a former general. There will be, he said petroleum will be something, it was 86 naira at that time, but say if we bring it to 50, you know, and he said that there will be power in 6 months. None of this thing has been done. Is this last 10 months to go that he will bring anything? We don't expect anything. It's for his own personal benefit, and sometimes he travels with his wife and his daughters just to enjoy maximally the last. But my pain is that the same person we voted for with high expectation doesn't even care about us, whether we are dying. I have many examples. When his son, Yusuf, fell down on a motorbike in Gwarimpa in Kaduna, he was not alone. He was with his own friend, a close friend of Yusuf. The both of them fell down. Or they picked the president's son and took him to Germany for treatment, whether the other friend died or not. Are they not both Nigerians? We are talking from the background of information. This is terrible. This is not what we expected of him. we came to power on a very high expectation. He has squandered the goodwill, and there's nothing he can do now. He will just come and say, I assure you, at a 1 minute silence. We are tired of all those things.
All right, thank you. Thank you. This is what we call a sight of angry Nigerians. I can imagine what goes on in the minds of those who are not in the state here studio across the country right now. Well, thank you, Mr. Haruna Salami, for being part of ATM Blowout this morning. It's been an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you, Honorable Obonna Umuke, for being part of ATN Blowout this morning. We promise you that it will be good. Things will get better. We believe. We have faith.
I have hope too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being part of it. It's been an honor to have you both on the show this morning. But just quickly before we go, Ade, let's get to have
I think the issue of Kuje prison is a wake-up call for our security agencies. Of course, they need to do more, and I think the government need to ensure that those involved, those who have actually caused this security breach, because of course there was a security breach, this issue should be investigated and those involved are brought to books. Salami was saying, of course, the government need to admit that there are saboteurs between the government, and they should try as much as possible to check out these people. A process of recruitment should also be changed, else we'll continue to have this problem.
All right, thank you very much. Vincent Godwin.
Well, Vivian, my heart goes out to the core members in Akwa Ibom State that have suffered this untold hardship and also have been victimized and also been raped. My heart really goes out to them, and we hope and pray that the government will be able to meet up to its mandate of protecting lives and properties of Nigerians, especially the young Nigerians.
All right, thank you, Godwin. While we hope that the issues around the Ekweremadus can find a better end, we will send out